Parents, there's special needs, and then there's special needs. Now, if your child is a special needs child, bring them to school. We'll work with them. Most teachers will. But if your child is violent, if your child has that, defiance disorder, where every time I tell them to sit down, they're going to take a book and chunk it at my head, and that is documented in their records that that's just the way that they are. Society is not like that. We cannot allow your child to abuse us, and we certainly cannot let them abuse other children because they have a challenge. Society doesn't revolve around that. You know, there are sociopaths, psychopaths. There are serial killers. Serial killers have problems. We don't allow them just to go take people's lives and not hold them accountable. We try to find them and we try to give them the death penalty. And you have to remember that some of those serial killers, they were in first grade. They had a fourth grade teacher too. So here's what I want to share with you all. Wherever you go, there you are. And if your child is at one school acting a damn fool, they gonna act fool at the next school. Teachers are teachers. There's no school in the world that's going to allow your child to come in, kick teachers in the head, throw kids off of the top of the slide, bite kids, hark up, spit, and spit in a teacher's eye. True story. Wasn't my eye, because I'm going to tell y'all, I'm not a certified teacher yet. Somebody would have had a black eye. Okay? Kicking you, pulling your hair. You go out and your teachers, we buy things with our own money to decorate our classrooms. And then they come in and tear up the whole classroom. You spend $400 or $500 putting stuff up in your classroom, and you're supposed to evacuate the classroom and let them tear up all the stuff that you bought with your money or your teacher salary. These new age teachers are not going to do it. And I know that people have done it in the past, and we had some leeway coming out of 2020 where people were like, well, you know, it was 2020, but now stuff has got real. This country has changed. Wherever you go, there you are. If your child is acting and violent, if they're violent at school A, they're going to be violent at school B. And what's starting to happen is that school records are starting to reflect it. Has been a big push to start to document everything that's happening with kids, good and bad. And what happens is when your child goes to another school, that their reputation precedes them. And I don't know why a lot of parents just think that your kids can just go to any school that they want to go to. You get mad at one school because, now this actually happened to me. A child cussed me out. I told the child, you're not going to cuss me out. You're going to go over there and sit down. And then the parent was mad at me because to tell a child that they're not going to cuss me out, it was a threat to their child. You better believe it was a threat because you're not going to cuss me out. I'm not going to let your kid cuss me out. I'm not going to be abused by a child. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be abused by anybody. If a grown man came and said to me what a child said to me, I don't care if they've been knocked in the head with a meat hook. I don't care if they was born with a disability. I don't care if they don't even have a brain in their head. They are not going to abuse me because that's not what I signed up for. And society doesn't work that way. Y'all know I was a crime reporter for almost 30 years. And it's so many teachers that I would see at those sentencing phases coming up talking about some of the very students that I see in schools today, talking about how they were attacking other kids. They were spitting on teachers. They threw a book at a teacher's head. And you know where they had to? They had to death row. A whole lot of them head to death row if it's in the state. I saw a whole bunch of them get life in prison without parole, because we have to realize that they're little kids, but those little kids, they grow up to be adults, and they have to realize they have to be held accountable. Like, you know, I was sharing before, serial killers don't just get allowed to go around taking people's lives because they're serial killers. Well, you know, the reason that he took 32 women's lives was he has a disability. He was in SPED when he was in elementary school. And so, you know, we're going to just have to just let him go. Y'all leave him alone. Police officers, don't say anything to him because he's got a challenge. You may have a challenge, but you got to live in this world, in this society, or you have to be institutionalized. Okay? And if you can't make it in the school system without your parents pulling you out of schools, there's some kids that are in the 3rd grade that have been to 9 different schools because their parents think that they're going to go find a school where they're just going to let their kids do whatever they want to do. There's nobody that's going to be able to find them. And let me make a correction on that. They're not going to 9 different public schools. Now they're jumping around to these different charter schools. And you know what they do at the charter schools? They beat their ass and send them back to public school. And here's the deal with public school. You get kicked out of one, if it's your neighborhood school, you can't go to that school. You got to try to get into another school, and schools don't have to accept you. And as we're documenting everything on these students, good and bad, if you attacked a teacher and stabbed her in the hand with a pencil, when you try to take her out there and take them out there on the other side of the town, them black folks over there, the way they be teaching, because we're as black teachers, we're supposed to let your kids kick us and stab us in the hand with pencils and ink pens and throw scissors at us. But they go over to the white side of town. For some reason, they're not going to want to throw scissors and stab those teachers in the hand. And what they do is look and see, they done already attacked this teacher and did this. We don't want them in our school, because you can't just go to any school you want to go to. If that's the case, people would just enroll their kids in any school. It's the public school system. You have to live in that area code, or there has to be a program. Like, for example, I didn't go to school in my school district in middle school because I was a high honors student, and the high honors program was on the other side of town. But if you just think that they have programs set up for kids that don't know how to act and got parents that's some freaking fools that's on parole, that's got ankle bracelets on, they want to come up to the school and fight you because they kid cussed you out and spit in your face, ain't nobody gonna take your kids. And these charter schools and public schools, they don't have to. And a lot of times what the charter schools will do is they'll take them so that they can get that state money, because state money in most places goes to the charter school. That money that should be going, I say state money, but the public school system money that should be going to public school. If that kid leaves and goes to a charter school, that funding, taxpayer dollars go to that charter school. So they will let you bring your child over to the charter school, beat their ass, and then kick them out. Then you're set with either homeschooling them or trying to get them back into the school where they have terrorized everybody, where everybody's so sick of them and so sick of you. So wherever you go, there you are. You can't just put your kid in any school that's in the town, and if they acting a fool at school A, they gonna act a fool at school B, and probably a bigger fool because you done moved them out of their environment. See, times have changed. We're not still sitting with the 2020, well, they're traumatized because of 2020. Because some of these kids that's in school wasn't even born when 2020 happened. So they not feeling the effects of sitting at home and people wearing masks. So you need to get your kids and get them with the system. Or we're talking about this school to prison pipeline. A lot of times they're going straight from your house to school and then to prison, because you're setting them up for failure. Your kids can't just go anywhere and do anything because they have a special need. I don't know what else to tell you, but we got a whole lot of parents that are walking around surprised that they can't find any school that will take them, because now even the charter schools are checking. Well, wait a minute. Why are you coming over here? Oh, that school was just horrible. And when they hear you talking about the public school, they're like, oh, so they thought they were going to be able to act a fool over there. They definitely ain't coming over here and acting a fool. So then they will call around and find out about the kids. Get their school records, look in there. They'll take that money. They let your kid come there for 2 weeks, and then they're going to kick them up out of there. So you need to teach your child how to fit into society, because society does not move around to fit people who are violent, people who are entitled, people that's got crazy ass criminal parents that want to threaten you. Society doesn't like them. They don't revolve around them. And they will be the very ones that my media students will be covering their trials when they're sitting in the sentencing phase for death row.